I think I'm gonna call this one the kitty's tantrum, because it's dark and stormy, like my daughter sometimes. I don't know where she gets it from. Psych! It's a throwing video, not a kiln opening. Alright, so I'm just going to show you how I throw. There's been a comment about how it's kind of different. So, you can see here, it's centered. I'm making, dropping in. And my pinkies, I love them. They're always at the bottom of the base of this clay. And I'm going to use my thumbs. I open it up. You want to go slow because you don't want to go too fast and knock this off center. Alright? After you do that, I grab my red rib there and I'm going to compress the bottom. I go from the inside out, just gently pushing down, and then outside in. And I do it once more with my fingers outside in. Okay, so that evens out the bottom. Now here is the important trick that I have learned from Earth Nations. Okay, so I'm going to kind of make a honeycomb, or just kind of divide that clay so that way it's easier to pull, because I could never get a nice even pull when it's just straight off without doing this technique. So I'm just pushing the clay between my fingers to make this kind of rib honeycomb effect. And I like using that blue sponge because it's the perfect. Okay, so for the first pull I divide it out, and then I use my sponge. I'm putting a little bit of water on my fingers. And you can see now it's a lot easier to pull, because as I push in, everything's already kind of evened out, and I can follow that lump of clay all the way to the top. Nice pull. Okay, you don't want to go too fast, just right. Alright, so now from Simon Leach, this is how I use my hand technique. I like to use my fingertips, so I clamp lock my thumbs together into like a crabby clamp. There we go, like a little butterfly. And I want my fingertips all the way to the bottom. So my nails are short because basically they are getting trimmed and filed down from the wheel head. And you just nice and slow on the way up. Now obviously this is two different shots. One is a mug on the left, the right is the top down view is from a vase. So let's just focus on the mug here, okay? So you want to be efficient with your pulling, okay? So that way if you can avoid trimming a lot later, you know, saves you time and you're saving clay. So I'm going to go in one time, and I think I'm using my ring finger here. I'm just going to use that one finger to kind of guide and push that clay up. My left hand on the inside, it's just something for me to push against. Nice and slow. Then I always wipe my hands, because you never know when a toddler's going to come in screaming. You're going to get all the water out from the center there, because the more water is left in, the more it's going to get soupy. Alright, so now I'm going to check it, but I use my shrink ruler, so who knows how tall this is. Alright, so we can cut this in half. And hopefully what I see is nice even walls. Okay, so I was just showing these guys, this is how I do a cylinder. And let's open it up. Not bad. So the top there, you can see where it's a little bit thinner. I would usually cut off the tops of my my mugs, because what's the point? Oh, there goes my dog. She heard something at the door. So you can see now, if you were to trim a bottom a foot into your mugs, if you like that, there's plenty of room there for you. But I do not. So you can see this how you pull up. Let's try it again. Okay? So cone up, cone down, push. Use my hand like karate chop. Here's two different views. I do wipe the excess clay off the end, or around the bottom of that clay once it's centered. Okay, so now I'm going to use my middle finger and my pointing finger, and I'm going to create that hole in the center. I'm not pushing straight down, I'm kind of going on an angle. Using my thumbs with some water, I'm going to spread that open. Again, my pinkies are on the outside, making sure I don't knock this off center. Use my rib, compress. That's going to make a big difference. I'm making sure that your bottom of your mugs, or whatever you're making, is nice and even and smooth, okay? Alright, so now we're going to show you what's important. The whole reason why I'm making this video is how to make to divide that clay up so that way you can do efficient pulling. So you can see I'm just showing you my hand. My left hand is just simply kind of cradling, making a cup shape. And then I'm putting that sponge between my two fingers, my pointer and my middle, and I am just pushing. Okay, and that creates the little honeycomb. So when you press the top too, make sure you press down so that way everything gets centered again. Okay, now here comes the first pull. Alright, so these kind of video matches up. You can see it in both. All the way to the bottom, I use a sponge first to kind of help me get all that clay, keep it nice and moist so there's no friction. Then I discard the sponge. You can see on the left here, my fingers are all the way to the bottom. It's pretty much giving me a nice manicure, trimming those nails, and yep, and I'm going to push and pull that on up. So push it on in. My hand on the inside is just simply something for me to push against. And then compress the rim and the top. Nice, good pull. Alright, so again, on the top down view is a base, and so the other one's a mug. So I'm going to color in on the mug, and that kind of helps, like, it starts to flare out, to kind of move that clay back in and compress it, and it's going to help with the height but also the wobbleness. So let's just focus on the mug here. So this is a mug that I was trying to push it to the limits and show you what I would have kept. So again, I'm just using just a few of my fingertips. I don't need to use my whole hand, and that allows me to just have just enough pressure. In your fingertips, you have tons of sensory feelings. You can feel it better. You want to be able to feel the clay, feel it wobble. Is there air bubble? Is there how thick it is? You can feel it more with your fingers instead of using a sponge the entire time. So I'm going to be real daring here. I'm going to go for one more pull. You can see that clay is starting to get tired and overworked, and it's getting a lot really wobbly. But I'm still going with it, okay? So just because something's getting wobbly, don't just discard it. It can be fixed. And how can you fix it? I'll show you. You grab your metal rib. And now you're going to use your left hand on the inside and push against that. And just nice and gentle all the way up. It will get off the slurry, but also it's going to help compress those walls and kind of fix that wobble. And again, like I said, I like to make sure I cut off the top of all my bugs, because the top's not even. Even if I did want to trim this, it wouldn't be even. And hello. So you want to smooth that out. You can also just kind of grab a piece of leather or whatever you want to take, and just kind of roll it against the top there. Get all the water out, because you don't want more water. You don't want water hanging out on the bottom of your mug. Okay, so this is where you can use a tool to make a nicer foot there if you want. For this one, I'm going to leave it so you guys can see how much clay is left. I'm going to cut it open. Slicey, slicey. Up it goes. Okay, it's time for the reveal. Let's turn that around, Em. Keep turning. Let's see how well I did. This is a mug that I would have kept. Oh wow, look at those walls. So nice and even. And the base of that mug, see how thin it is? I don't need to do a foot at all, and I would have made a nice round kind of indent on that base of that mug. You can thumb it off, like just use your thumb and round it off or whatever. Look at that. Okay, well, I hope you guys learned something. If you have questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.